You're listening to NEMAcast, where we take a look at the hottest issues facing the electro industry. I'm Chrissy Scaderro. With me today is Clarion Safety Systems CEO Geoffrey Peckham. We're going to discuss an important update happening in the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, standards for workplace safety signs and tags. We'll also outline the effect this will have on employers. Welcome, Geoffrey.
Hello.
There's an important change happening to OSHA's standards for workplace safety signs and tags. What exactly is this change, and why is it important to our listeners?
Well, on September 11th of this year, OSHA is updating its safety tag regulations to incorporate the latest standards-based warnings technology into their standards so they can be used to fulfill OSHA compliance regulations. OSHA's current safety sign and tag regulations are based on outdated formats. Actually, they're antiquated because they're 70-year-old standards that they're based on. So the goal of the update is to improve workplace safety by allowing employers to use the 2011 ANSI Z535 standards, which better communicate safety in the workplace. You see, currently organizations, they can use the ANSI Z535 style signs or tags, but they run the risk of being cited for an OSHA violation. This is because OSHA only references the outdated 1967 and 1968 standards that were the precursors of today's ANSI Z535 standards. And this is called by OSHA a de minimis violation. And it's really a barrier for employers who want to modernize their signage. OSHA's regulations update next month will do away with this de minimis situation, and they'll allow employers to use the ANSI Z535 standards without that possibility of a citation.
What else should employers know about the change and the compliance impact it will have on their workplaces?
Well, with this rule change, OSHA will still reference the old 1967 and 1968 standards. They'll allow employers to use the old or the new standards to be OSHA compliant. So employers are not obligated to change out all their old signs or even to buy the new ANSI Z535 style signs or tags when they have a need for new signage. This has been done because OSHA is being sensitive to imposing additional costs on facility owners. And by not creating an economic burden on companies, they could, by their own rules, they could bypass the 5 to 8 year full rulemaking process and instead issue a direct final rule, which is happening this September. And this accomplishes their goal, which is to really allow employers to use the better safety communication technology today, not 8 years from now.
So if the organizations aren't obligated by OSHA to use the latest version of the ANSI standards, why should they? Why are the latest ANSI standards better than the older ones?
Well, that's right. Organizations don't have to update their new signage, but they'll want to, and here's why. The old sign and tag designs were invented in 1941, and they lack the design principles incorporated into the modern safety sign standards. They also fail to meet the demands of an increasingly diverse workforce in the United States and global workforce worldwide. It's not 1941 anymore. There's really no excuse for not installing the newer, better safety sign technology that's available and now endorsed by OSHA. I mentioned that the old signs and tags lack the latest design principles. And here's what makes the ANSI Z535 signs and tags better. The new signs and tags typically provide more information so people can make safer decisions. Typically they explain the nature of the hazard, the consequence of interaction with the hazard, and also how to avoid the hazard. It's not danger high voltage anymore, those types of signs. Instead, it's like danger, hazardous voltage, contact will shock or burn, lock out, tag out both sources of power before servicing this electrical panel. That's a typical type of message that goes on an ANSI Z535 sign or tag, and that gives the people the information they need to avoid the hazard. Much better than danger high voltage. So, and also the newer formats better accommodate multiple language panels and graphical symbol panels, so safety can better be communicated to non-English readers. The new signs and tags also contain the concepts that are supported by human factors research as far as effective warnings and modern risk assessment methodologies. And the ANSI Z535 standards contain design principles that exemplify the current legal criteria for adequate warnings, as defined by the past 30 years of U.S. case law. Basically what it comes down to is that this is an opportunity for organizations to rethink and elevate safety communication. Safety-conscious companies and industries will want to know how to intelligently use the new standards to get the maximum impact in their efforts to improve safety for their employees. Continuing to use the out-of-date signs and tags can mean the difference between really a productive employee or an injured one, or a thriving business or one that's going to be mired in litigation.
What does this change mean when it comes to the big picture of visual safety communication?
Well, the OSHA update essentially means that over time, employers will adopt the newer ANSI Z535 best practice safety sign and tag formats, and then the United States will increasingly have a single national uniform system of hazard recognition. And that's the goal of the ANSI Z535 standards, to establish that, a single national uniform system for hazard recognition, so that safety signs installed in facilities and public areas, temporary safety tags placed on equipment, and safety labels placed on products will all be designed using the same formatting principles. And the outcome of this is consistency. Consistency so that more effective communication can take place. And that in turn should really help achieve the objective, everybody's objective here, of achieving fewer accidents and more lives saved from tragedy.
Now, you personally spearheaded OSHA's regulation update to today's best practices. Can you tell us about the role you played and what drove you to be such a strong proponent of this issue?
Yes, that's correct. Over the last 4 years, together with NEMA, the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, I led the effort to update OSHA's standards to better align them with the latest advances in the standards related to safety sign technology. So why have I lobbied OSHA for this update? Well, I've been involved in the major safety sign standards committees, both the ANSI and ISO standards committees, for more than 20 years. And I've worked directly with many great safety professionals in a variety of industries, all in an effort to better communicate safety and reduce risk. It's because I know that safety signage, when done well, with the latest best practice warnings technology, will be one of the major tools risk and safety professionals will be able to use to reduce workplace injuries and incidences. However, most safety signage in use today is still based on the antiquated 70-year-old designs that lack the latest warnings technology incorporated into these modern safety sign standards. So from my position and my company's experience in delivering best practice signage solutions, we can see that there's a better way to warn and that companies can adopt this now. It's time for OSHA's regulations to reflect today's best practices, and they are. And they're going to allow organizations to take advantage of this technology. This will be an important step forward towards advancing workplace safety through more effective safety signage.
Where can people go for more information on OSHA's standards update on signage and how to use the latest ANSI warnings technology to improve safety at their workplace?
Well, Clarion has put up a web page. It's in our learning center with information and resources about the OSHA change. www.clarionSafety.com/OSHA-signage-update. We've also produced a short educational video, ANSI standards and safety signs and labels, and that too is available on our website in the video library. It's www.clarionsafety.com/video-library, and through our company's YouTube channel. The video is part of Clarion's comprehensive library of short educational videos designed to promote a better understanding of current best practices in product safety labeling and facility safety signage.
Thanks again for joining us today, Geoffrey, and sharing this important information with our listeners. For NEMAcast, I'm Chrissy Scaderro.